Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I am Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
We are seeing a lot of scams lately. And I mean, you and I were just talking earlier about the jury duty scam.
Yeah, everybody knows they can reach out to us on email, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have an inbox that is flooded every day with very legitimate consumer complaints that we help people try to solve. And then we also hear from people who are saying, I'm in the middle of this really scary scam situation.
Right.
What can you do? And a lot of times we have to tell them there's not much we can do to claw back the money.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's gone. But they are really elaborate and they feel like they're getting bigger dollar amounts associated with things and like more intricate. These scammers know everything about a person.
Well, the most recent email we received was from a viewer who was told she had a phone call saying that she missed jury duty and she had to pay a fine. And the guy wasn't even hiding behind the keyboard. She actually wound up meeting him at a parking lot to pay the fine, and she wound up losing a significant amount of money. So it's scary how they go from hiding behind the keyboard to now they're just meeting you in a parking lot, scaring you to death that you might be arrested, and then, duping you into paying all this money.
And horrifying to think about all of the what ifs and then all of the consequences of this. I mean, it was a giant dollar amount and there's no way to recover it. It's gone.
It's gone. Like you said, it's a terrible situation. All kinds of scams out there. And I'm looking at my phone right now because earlier today at 10:25 a.m., I received a phone call today from New Orleans.
Okay.
Don't know anybody there. Not in my contact list. And I answered and said, "This is Gary." And there's a female on the other side, on the other end, who sounds like human, not AI, says hello. And I go, "Can I help you?" And she goes, "Hello." And I go, "Can I help you?" And then she wound up hanging up.
Ooh, was she trying to grab your voice?
Okay, so that's the first thing that came across my mind.
I say she in air quotes because I don't think there was a real person there.
It sounded like a real person, but I mean, the thought crossed my mind just as immediately as it crossed yours. Like, okay, did my voice just get swiped and is it going to be used for something? It's scary.
It is.
You remember back in the day, it was the "Can you hear me?" scam, and people say yes, and then
they use that little affirmative for something.
Yeah, I didn't purchase that. Well, here's your recording where you said yes. I don't know how much of that was true, but that was a big thing going on back then. But it
evolves.
I mean, you can't go anywhere without somebody trying to scam you. That's why you really got to keep your, stay on your P's and Q's, as they used to say. For more information on that, we're going to help our viewers and our listeners to keep from getting ripped off. And people say that will never happen to me. Don't say that.
You'd be surprised
how
good these guys are.
I mean, they're very good, and you could be the smartest, most intelligent person out there, and you get taken. It's terrible. So today, Brian Long joins us on the On Your Side podcast. He's a cybersecurity expert and CEO of Adaptive Security. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Hey, Gary. Hey, Susan. Thanks so much for having me.
You're joining us from Cali, right? How are things out there?
Outside of the scams you were talking about, things are good. Things are good.
Yeah. So you heard my example of my phone call I got today, and what do you make of that? I mean, could somebody do something with my voice with that example?
Yeah. So using just now as little as 3 seconds of your voice, artificial intelligence is able to clone your voice and use it to have your voice say anything that they want it to say. Now, the bad news for you in particular, Gary, is that there's a lot of recordings already out there with your voice. So your voice is one that we can make a very high quality model of. But just something as simple as your voicemail on your phone is enough to do a voice clone now. So, something we do give as a tip to folks is if your current voicemail on your phone is your own, custom audio recording of your voice, hey, I'm not here right now, get rid of that. Replace that with the robot voice recording, because just that little "I'm not here right now, please leave a message," in your own voice is enough to make a clone of your voice.
That's a good tip and something I had not thought of.
Yeah. Well, you know what I didn't think of? I'm on TV every day with my voice.
Well, yeah.
And he just brought that to my attention.
Yeah,
So that
I had thought of that.
the phone call is
Yeah.
obsolete now. So,
Yeah.
oh boy, take advantage of
But
me.
there are a lot of people who may be listening to this and going, okay, well, I'll delete my voicemail message. But then they forget that they've also posted 17,000 videos of themselves on social media being like, here's what I'm doing today.
Yes.
This is what I've got going on. Look
Yeah.
how cute my kids are.
Exactly. What do you think about that, Brian, with putting your voice on social media? I mean, good idea. Should you erase it? People like to talk.
Look, I think that you have to do things in balance, right? I'm not going to tell people to completely change their life and lose things they enjoy just for this. But I will say the amount of information that's out there is increasing, A. B, it's a lot easier to access it. So with some of the new online AI tools, I can put in a LinkedIn URL for someone, and it will find all sorts of crazy information. I'll give you one quick example. We used a LinkedIn URL for someone that worked at our company, and we said, based on just this LinkedIn URL, what can you find about him? Two crazy things that the AI was able to find. Number one, his wife had posted a job listing for a nanny where they had mentioned the name of their 5-month-old child in the job listing on a random job site. And using that information, the AI was able to figure out they had a child, what the child's name was, how old the child was. Number two, they had a wedding registry where they had an item for their dog. It was a dog bow tie. And in the wedding registry, they just mentioned as a comment, for Toasty, which is the name of the dog. And just from that, the AI knew that the name of their dog was Toasty. So it's pretty unbelievable what can be accessed now with very little information. That's just using the LinkedIn URL of the husband. It found all that information.
And those are things that are critical pieces of information when you're trying to convince somebody that they're stuck in a really emergency situation, right? That's what scammers play on. They want to convince somebody that something really scary is happening to somebody they love or the pet that they cherish.
Right. So you have the dog's name, you have the kid's name, the age, all that stuff. What's a bad guy do with all that?
Yeah. So look, a bad guy can use that information, and it might not even be, a bad person. It could be a bad AI, right? So it could be a completely autonomous agent that can use that information in order to have you do, things that are not in your best interest. So, hey, I'm here with your, 5-year-old, and they're lost, and I really need some money in order to find XYZ. Hey, I just found your dog. I'm happy to return it to you, but I want you to Venmo me this money right now, or, whatever it might be. And something that you said earlier also resonated with me, Gary. These are the people that are falling for these things. They're not, these are very, very smart people that can fall for these types of scams. I had an executive that I worked with who works in technology, tech executive, very, very smart person, and was scammed out of a very, very large amount of money through one of these types of situations. So it really is something that can happen to anyone.
What's another big ongoing scam out there that seems to be becoming more of a nuisance and taking advantage of people?
Man, there's so many different scams out there, but we've seen a lot of growth around job-related scams recently. So, job-related scams are when online someone is pretending to hire for a company. So, they'll pretend to be a legitimate company. So, they could pretend, okay, we're hiring for people at Google or Microsoft or whatever it might be, right? And they'll even have a fake application process where they capture information from you, and then maybe once they get a whole bunch of data from you, they try to steal money from you. And a common example of something like that too is they may say, oh, okay, as part of onboarding, you need to pay $2,000 in training fees. These will be paid back to you when you file expense reports with us, but you need to pay $2,000 or $3,000 out of pocket for stuff. So they'll get you to pay for things that obviously they're never going to reimburse you for.
Yeah, I know one big one is watching movies. I mean, who doesn't like to do that? And these fake Netflix ads are out there saying, watch these movies and, we'll pay you. It seems easy, and, a lot of people are applying. And how does that work, and how do you avoid that?
Yeah. So look, I mean that the basics is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So if you're getting paid to watch movies, you should probably think twice and think a little bit about whether or not that's something that makes sense. How the actual scam will work is that through the process of onboarding you. As a new employee. So they say, oh, great, you got the job. In order to get started, please provide all your personal information, your bank account information, et cetera. And they maybe get what they need in order to steal money from you. So that's a little bit of how that sort of scam works.
I was going to give a real quick example. About a year or two ago, I interviewed a working professional. She was in the dental industry. Very smart woman. I mean, has her license, and she wanted a little side gig of watching movies. And it wasn't the Netflix platform, but it was another one. And
Was she supposed to be reviewing them, or what was going on
That's
here?
exactly what it was. She was supposed to. They would give her a list of movies to review.
Quote unquote.
I don't think she would have to actually watch the entire movie, but maybe most of it and review it. And what would happen is the bad guys would send her just a little bit of money to make it look like, hey, I am getting paid. And then she would watch another movie, and they'd send her a little bit of money, but then they would say, well, we have more movies for you to review, and the pay is going to be even more. So, but you have to pay us for that. So all that little bit of money that she got, she wound up losing that and close to, I believe, $100,000. She wound up giving the scammers in this movie situation, where she thinks she's reviewing, and it was a terrible situation. And again, it goes back to, you don't have to be a dumb person. It's smart people, executives, and working professionals that are also getting ripped off.
Yeah, Brian, I was going to ask how are these scammers kind of weaving all of these things together? So we have these job scams that we've been talking about for years, and they're kind of evolving, and then we've got all of this emerging technology with AI that people are struggling to kind of grasp its power. How do those things all kind of blend together?
Yeah. So the way that it's blending together a bit is that using AI, the AI is able to be a lot more personalized and offer a lot more realistic types of conversations and objection handling. So, take your example of the movie watching scam. Usually it starts with a promotion. Hey, get paid $400 a day to watch movies, right? And there's an application process where they collect information, and as part of that, they're also getting your payment information, so you can get money from them. And then, as you're alluding to earlier, they might initially give you a few bucks, but then they say, "Oh, you got to pay a registration fee. You got to pay a couple $1,000 registration, and then you get access to more movies or something like that." And that's where the scam really kicks in, and they start making money from you. Where the system is getting smarter. Is the system now has the ability to know, okay, I am going to speak to your particular interests. I'm going to speak to your background. I'm going to have custom systems that if you have a problem or a question, I have an AI that can talk to you on the phone and walk you through those problems so that it deals with common objections and has a way to route them to push the person towards the action. So again, it's just making it seem more and more realistic. The reality too is that a lot of these attacks are coming from overseas, right? So traditionally, because it was overseas, they couldn't speak English. They had strong accents. So any sort of thing over the phone or dealing with problems was a lot harder for them to manage. Now, because you can have all real-time translation software and use AI for this, they're able to do it all in perfect English. And that's also been a very, very big factor in increasing, unfortunately, the efficacy of these types of attacks.
Why are people falling for it, though? I mean, how are they being tricked? Is it just so convincing that these AI, whatever you want to call them, I mean, what are they saying that's so convincing that people are falling for it?
Yeah, I think the personalization is a big factor, right? So the ability to know things about you personally that might make you more susceptible. They're also getting smarter about targeting, right? They're targeting people based on this information that might be more vulnerable towards these types of attacks. And then finally, I think the machine is just getting smarter about knowing how to pull levers, right? They want to drive urgency. They want to hit greed, right? They want to make someone want to lean in and get more money or get more access to something, and they use that in order to push the person down their scam process.
Yeah, it's always the urgency and the intimidation. Like, you have to do this now, you have to do this now, or you'll lose money, or you'll be arrested, or, whatever.
And I know that talking about it, raising the awareness is a really important factor in helping people identify this or maybe slow things down, which is why we talk about scams a lot. They are happening all the time. People are falling for them all the time. So we're going to keep sounding the alarm that there are a lot of things to watch out for. But what are some of the best ways to protect ourselves from some of these scams?
Yeah, look, I think that whenever you are being pushed to do something urgently, you should stop and think. I think what you were alluding to earlier around just the word urgency, whenever someone is pushing an urgent action, that's when you need to stop, take a step back and say, really, why would this be something urgent? Because 99.9% of the time, it is not something urgent. So I think that's the best thing, is to take a step back, stop, think about it. Number two, if someone is calling you, I think you need to be concerned about where they're actually calling from. You need to be able to verify that. If someone says they're calling from, say, a government agency, I think you should say, look, that's fine, but I need to verify, who you are. So I'm going to call you back at the government agency line. And, don't call back a number they give you. You need to find their number on a website or in some sort of other material.
But I mean, they're getting smart too, because they're spoofing numbers. How many times have we did the utility scam where the number pops up as your utility company, and then the bad guy tells you, I'm shutting off your electricity in 30 minutes because you have not paid your bill, which actually you have, but it's that sense of urgency and intimidation again. I mean, that goes on all the time, right?
It does go on all the time. And again, just, when you do get a phone call inbound, you have to have a zero trust viewpoint on it, right? So you cannot trust people that are calling you, and you need to find their phone numbers to call them from, trusted sources.
Right.
So that's not someone sending you an email. That's not someone calling you. It's you finding that phone number, on their website or another trusted venue.
Yeah. And another mistake that's made is people go to Google. Let's just say they get a phone call from somebody claiming to be with Wells Fargo, and your bank account has been hacked. And then people go to Google to look up the Wells Fargo number, and there's a fake Wells Fargo number somehow right at the top of the list. So you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, the FBI told me always scroll past the sponsored links.
Yes.
No matter what, scroll past the sponsored links.
Yes.
Then you're going to have at least a better shot of getting to the right place.
I love that advice. Hey, Brian, tell us a little bit about adaptive security. What is that, and how can it help people?
Yeah, just the final piece I'd give all the advice to before going into what we do. I think that when in doubt, don't do anything.
I love that.
That's the best advice I could give, because,
I love it.
if the power is actually going to be shut off, if you have to pay something, you'll know when the power gets shut off.
Right.
So
Such a good point.
So when in doubt, don't do anything. And what our company does is at Adaptive Security is we help companies and organizations to protect themselves from these types of scams, these types of new, social engineering types of threats. And the way that we do that is, number one, we actually simulate those types of attacks. So we simulate them on your organization in order to figure out where your organization may be vulnerable for these types of attacks. And then number two, we also offer extensive training materials that are very quick and easy that you or members of your team can take in order to be ready for these types of attacks.
Well, it's a scary environment that we live in right now with all this AI and how things seems like they're spinning out of control. But listen,
But we've been given the license to do nothing.
Yes.
That's the best thing I've heard all day. Susan, do nothing.
Right. If Wells Fargo calls you and
Do
says,
nothing.
well, just hang up, do nothing.
If the boss says do something, do nothing.
Well,
I like it.
you mean like the fake boss
The fake
email?
boss, yeah.
Go get some gift cards for me,
Do
Susan.
nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
boy. Hey, listen, Brian, thanks so much for being on the On Your Side podcast. We really appreciate the information, and I know our listeners do as well. So have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day, folks.
Okay, this artificial intelligence, it's just everywhere. It's not going away, and I just hope our listeners learned a little something, like you said jokingly, do nothing, right?
Yeah. Gotta love the do nothing advice. And I do love how Brian connected the dots for us on how some of these really old scams that we all feel so accustomed to and we feel like we're prepared to spot, how he kind of explained how all of it is becoming so much easier for AI to target people.
Yeah.
Because it knows so much more about us,
Yeah.
right? And it's becoming more personal. So these scams are becoming more believable by the second. And I just loved how he connected those dots and made sure that we can understand how, AI and this artificial intelligence technology might be weaving into so many of these really old, outdated scams that, we thought we were done with.
What about the example he gave with, they were able to find their coworkers, the dog's name and the kid's age and everything. It really scary.
And those are the most personal things to you, right? You think about your child, you think about your pet, you think about these things that you love and hold dear and would do anything to protect.
Right.
And you can understand why then all of a sudden we have an urgent situation. It's off to the races.
And one of the most common passwords that people use, and they should not, their dog's name.
Yeah.
So
it's so true.
It's you got to look out. All right, another fantastic podcast. Thank you, Susan. The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton. And I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can. Send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.